Well, as we move deeper into 2026, Lagos's luxury real estate market is attracting renewed attention from high net worth locals to diaspora eyeing, safe, rewarding investments. But what does luxury really mean in today's Lagos, and how has it evolved over the past decade? Are we still in a growth phase, or is the market maturing into a more selective, discerning cycle? Well, joining me to discuss this, we have Joanna Fabikun, who's the head corporate comms at Eko Atlantic, and she's joining me right here. This is not the Atlantic, but we do have water, around. It's great to have you.
Thank you for
Happy
having
New Year.
me. Happy New Year.
So, looking at what's played out in the market so far, we see the most expensive places to rent a one-bedroom apartment in Lagos. We got some data recently, and we see for the Eko Atlantic, that's we see a price tag of about 20.9 million naira to rent a one-bedroom apartment. Banana Island, about 10 mil. Ikoyi, 8 million naira. VI, 7.5. Lekki Phase 1, 4.5. These are the most expensive places to rent, a one-bedroom apartment. And, looking at the real estate market in Nigeria, the luxury market size is about 3.2 trillion naira, according to the data. There's $7.5 billion dollars. So definitely, we're seeing a lot of money flowing, through that market. But from your training so far, your global training and your experience in Lagos, how would you describe the luxury market, the luxury real estate market, in Nigeria and Lagos?
Yeah. So going into 2026, the luxury market has remained resilient. I mean, on the broader scale, we have a huge housing deficit. So the supply is definitely still ahead of demand. Over the last 5 years, we've seen immense growth. So to say that we're in a growth stage, 100%. But both things can be true. We can be growing and we can be maturing at the same time. So we're seeing that buyers are more particular about what they deem as luxury.
Right. And talking about, luxury, it seems the office segment too, they're tending towards the Eko Atlantic side of things. How are you seeing demand, for, I guess we can call it luxury office?
Grade A, yes.
Grade A, yeah.
Grade A. Well, Grade A office space, it's doing very well on the island, but we're also seeing interest in areas on the mainland like Ikeja. So it's not always about positioning yourself in where is already saturated. It's also about looking at emerging markets. So it's not always going where everyone is going, but also looking at the next circle.
Right. And what would you say that next cycle is? I know you've also talked about Dirty December. It's still fresh in some of our minds, at this point. And we know the short let side of things tends to get a lot of attention.
Yes.
During that season.
Yeah.
How would you describe demand in December?
Well, obviously, there's a huge influx of people during December, and it's a great opportunity for the real estate markets to capitalize on that. And we have seen that in the short let segment. We've seen a lot of impressive figures come out from that. But at the same time, it's important to remember a lot of people are still interested in long-term capital growth as well as short-term results. So it depends on the investor appetite.
Right. So what would you say were the interesting trends in most of 2025? What do you think investors were, putting their money into, when it comes to the real estate market? Were there any interesting new trends?
I think as we progress into 2026 from 2025, what we're noticing is people are more interested in how property is livable day to day and not just about how it looks. So people are interested in international level of amenities, professional services and management, steady power and water, which are still not overlooked. It's still very critical. Convenience as well, and just not as much how things look, but how things function day to day. And I think that's the shift we're seeing.
Okay, so talking about what luxury means, in I guess in different countries we have different meanings of luxury. So if we look at the Lagos of today versus 2016, luxury mostly meant large family homes, gated estates within traditional elite districts like Ikoyi and VI. limited high-end coastal developments. That was like 2016. 2026, we're seeing ultra prime waterfronts. Banana Island, Eko Atlantic, with multi-billion naira, price tags at this point. So I'm still trying to understand demand.
Yes.
Because we've had instances where we say all the luxury homes, most of them, they still have the banners up there, to let. We're not seeing them moving,
exactly,
that much. We did get a PwC report recently talking about, poverty in Nigeria rising even more, in 2026.
Exactly.
How would you say the top 1% are managing, when it comes to demand?
I understand exactly what you're saying, but it's important to remember that we still have a huge housing deficit. So no matter how you look at it, the supply is less than the demand. And when you talk about things sitting empty, that's when you talk about the market maturing. So yes, while we have growth, people are not going to go for what is just using buzzwords and good marketing, and they call it luxury. People want to see real luxury, and they want to see developers with a track record. They also want to know that the amenities are well maintained over time. So it's not just about a property that looks good the day you move in. It's a property that will stand the test of time. And people are clued on and informed, and that's the shift that we're seeing.
Do you think Nigerians are experiencing the full term luxury real estate in Nigeria? Because when you look at luxury estates in Nigeria, you still see those bad roads, leading to those estates. You still have flooding issues and all of that. At one point, do you think Nigerians will actually really experience full luxury, compared to other countries?
Well, I think that is exactly what we should be expecting to see 2026 and beyond. Because like I said, Nigerian buyers are demanding this. Their expectations are high. No more is it okay for developers just to throw around the term luxury without it being scrutinized. It is scrutinized, and people expect good infrastructure now, steady supply of power and water, professional management. Everything is about convenience and quality of lifestyle these days. It's not just about status and saying you live in a certain area. People want to see that they are living that luxury life in real life and not just by the price tag.
So who's the typical buyer, these days?
Okay, well, it's hard to say one typical buyer. It's a diverse range of people. I mean, it includes corporate clients, which are particularly active in the rental market, as they typically will take multiple units at once. You also obviously have the HNIs. Typically, they care about capital growth over time, long-term investors. And we have the new generation coming in as well. So you have the Gen Z and the millennials, and they are also redefining what we call luxury. Those are the people that really care about convenience and quality of life. Also technology and sustainability, which are things that 10 years ago people weren't really thinking about as much as they are today. And then obviously you have the diaspora, who are coming in FX strong and especially active, as you said, in the short-let market.
Right. So, there's also, some low-income, people that would love to also key into some of these, high-end real estate. Is there a time, do you think a time will come when they can actually key in without having, that much, funding, but you can still get a piece, of the cake? I've heard a lot about tokenization, in real estate. Is that something that can happen in Nigeria?
Oh, 100%. We're already seeing a slow pickup in those areas of tokenization, REITs, people coming together to do JVs. So there's always creative ways to get into real estate. But it's important to know that when you are talking about luxury real estate, you're not turning away from affordable or low-income houses. It's a market. There's always going to be a high end and a low end, and it's a ripple effect. When you increase supply on the high end, it has a ripple effect all the way down the chain. So when we see new things coming up on the high end, we shouldn't immediately be worried about, oh, how does this affect the low end? Because it creates a ripple effect. So people who couldn't afford areas before are now able to shift and move up.
So what are the buyers interested in, at this point? Is it appreciation only, or just about the lifestyle, owning?
Well, it depends on the investor's individual goals. People that are looking to invest long term will definitely focus more on long term capital appreciation. People that want to make money quickly, so short term investment, will care more about rental and will probably dabble more into the short let active market. And people that want to buy to live, will care more about luxury, amenities, finishing, and location as well, access to quality education, healthcare for the complete lifestyle experience.
So, definitely we have investors, trying to find where to stash cash, in 2026. Some of they've had cash on the sideline. Where do you think they should look into, in 2026, to get the right ROI?
Well, typically, developers will look to the luxury market to cushion against macroeconomic pressures that may come in the future. So that is why we see a lot of developers prefer to go to luxury real estate. It's a solid asset class to consider. We're also seeing an increase in data centers, for example. Right now, we have twice as much in the pipeline as we do currently on the market, and that's very capital intensive. So it shows strong confidence in the market. So not just the typical asset classes like residential or commercial, but also looking at less common asset classes is a good way for investors to diversify.
How about Nigerians abroad? How's their demand for real estate here, the diaspora community?
The diaspora demand is interesting, it's good, but at the same time, the local demand is still really the anchor. The diaspora demand can come and create momentum, but we still need to focus on local demand because that's where the meat and bones really is.
Right. So what are you seeing? 2026, we're just getting started, at this point. What are you seeing for this market? High-end real estate, normal middle class and low-income real estate.
What I'm seeing, again, is high expectations from developers. No more will the Nigerians accept people cutting corners when it comes to quality at the end of the day. As I said before, superior finishing, property that's going to stand the test of time, professional management, and technology and sustainability. For example, green certification, which is leaning more into sustainability as well.
Right. Well, what kind of technology are we seeing with the houses? How smart are they?
Well, okay, obviously when it comes to power, we're seeing people tap into solar power now and just efficiency as well. We're seeing face recognition when it comes to security or finger recognition as well. People trying to reduce their carbon footprint are also tapping into technology throughout buildings, especially in office space as well.
Right, quite interesting. Well, we're all looking forward to a fantastic contribution from the real estate market that's to Nigeria's GDP. We're hoping for bigger growth. Thank you so much for helping us paint the picture. Joanna Fabikun is the head corporate comms, Eko Atlantic City.
Thank you for having me.